Getting paid to be a mall Santa or a theme park mascot sounds like the easiest gig in the world. Just smile, wave, and hand out high fives, right? Wrong. Behind those fluffy white beards and giant foam heads is a bizarre underworld of insanely strict contracts. Today, we are exposing 50 of the most ridiculous, laugh out loud, and straight-up weird rules these performers must obey. 1. Tears are strictly outlawed on the Velvet Throne. When a touching story or a heartbreaking wish from a sick child brings tears to their eyes, the performer must quickly deploy a specialized coughing fit by pretending they swallowed a piece of magical stardust or have a tickle in their throat. They can subtly wipe their eyes with a velvet glove without shattering the illusion of the strong, unflappable holiday patriarch. It is an incredibly clever way to hide immense emotional pain behind a jolly, festive facade. 2. Devouring a heavy meal comes with extreme restrictions. The men in red sign literal agreements forbidding them from eating garlic, onions, or beans before a shift. When a child leans in to whisper their deepest Christmas wishes, the last thing they should smell is a leftover burrito from a food court lunch. Seasonal managers are ruthless about this. Some elite academies even demand a strict diet of breath mints and milk during working hours. It is a terrifying level of dietary micromanagement, all to preserve the illusion that Kris Kringle survives purely on peppermint magic and holiday cheer instead of fast food. 3. Suddenly feeling violently ill inside a mascot head is a total nightmare, but you are absolutely not allowed to take off that head in public. Period. You must power walk backstage or find a private corridor before you relieve your stomach, even if you are literally choking. Preserving the childhood innocence of a 5-year-old takes total priority over a performer's basic human reflexes. You have to respect the absolute dedication required to vomit inside a sweltering foam helmet just to keep the magic alive. 4. Hidden beneath those thick white gloves is a bizarre marital secret. Anyone playing the big guy must completely remove his personal marriage band before he ever steps onto the festive mall set. If a clever kid spots a gold band, they always ask complicated questions about Mrs. Claus and her whereabouts. To avoid awkward interrogations about a fictional wife, image consultants force the performer to hide his actual marriage. He literally pretends to be a mythical bachelor all day. Imagine how his real spouse feels about that bizarre workplace mandate. 5. Mastering a princess dress is only part of the job. You also become a master forger. Park performers are subjected to grueling handwriting training until they can flawlessly replicate their specific character's official signature. If a kid compares an autograph from 2012 with one from 2024, the loops, dots, and flourishes must match identically. It is a level of document forgery that would make a seasoned criminal deeply envious. If you were forced to perfectly forge a signature 50 times a day, how long before you forgot your own handwriting entirely? 6. Buying a bottle of tequila in your hometown during December can ruin your career. The actors must sign morals clauses forbidding them from purchasing alcohol, even when they are completely off the clock and relaxing at home. Entertainment lawyers know that parents all have smartphones equipped with high-resolution cameras. A viral photo of a bearded, white-haired man buying 3 bottles of cheap liquor at the local grocery store is a complete public relations disaster. If you want to play Kris Kringle, your winter nightlife is officially canceled. 7. Taking a quick breather on a park bench is simply out of the question for royalty. Princesses and mascots are forbidden from sitting down while in view of the public, unless it is a choreographed part of a parade. You could be working a 14-hour shift in 90-degree humidity, wearing a ball gown that weighs more than a golden retriever, and your feet are just going to have to deal with it. The illusion of royal grace shatters apparently if Cinderella needs to rest her ankles on a hot afternoon. 8. Dealing with inappropriate adults is a dark reality for women wearing tiaras. When an overly confident dad tries to slip his phone number to a famous mermaid or asks her out on a date, the performer cannot just tell him to back off. They are trained to use pre-written, brutally polite, in-character deflections. Lines like, "My heart already belongs to the handsome prince," or "I am afraid the royal guards might object," are deployed daily. It is a wildly uncomfortable situation handled with rehearsed medieval grace to avoid making a scene, 9. Fake facial hair is an absolute deal-breaker for the highest-paid holiday gigs. These men sign agreements stipulating they must maintain a real, lush, perfectly groomed white beard year-round. That means even in the dead of July during a blistering heat wave, they are sweating through a massive layer of facial insulation. They become prisoners to their own follicles, sacrificing their summer comfort just to ensure that when December rolls around, no skeptical child can pull off a fake beard and ruin the holiday. 10. Being the most famous princess in the world from 9 to 5 means keeping a massive secret on the internet. Employment contracts include terrifying non-disclosure agreements regarding social media. Performers are expressly banned from posting pictures in half-costume or openly bragging about which character they portray. They are forced to use coded language online, referring to themselves as being friends with a certain character. The park executives protect the illusion so fiercely that you practically have to live a double life like a cartoon superhero. 11. Breaking an embrace with a child is never up to the person inside the suit. Whenever an overwhelmed, overstimulated kid initiates a tight hug with a mascot, the character must remain locked in it until the child decides to let go on their own terms, ensuring no kid ever feels prematurely rejected by their ultimate cartoon hero. It requires immense patience and serious core strength. 12. Navigating complex family dynamics requires intense psychological training before anyone hits the mall floor. The performers are explicitly banned from asking a child, "Where are your mom and dad?" Instead, the approved phrase is always, "Who brought you to visit me today?" This rule exists because assuming traditional family structures can instantly trigger tears if a child is in foster care, lives with grandparents, or recently lost a parent. It turns out that listening to wishes requires the delicate diplomatic skills of a highly trained therapist. 13. Bone structure literally dictates your entire career trajectory in the magical kingdom. Your acting skills mean absolutely nothing if you do not fit the ironclad height requirements. To play a famous fairy tale princess, you generally must be exactly between 5'4" and 5'7". If you want to play a classic cartoon mouse, you better be under 5'2". If a performer is hired at age 18 and happens to grow an extra inch over the next year, they will be instantly terminated or recast. 14. Achieving that perfect snowy white beard is rarely a matter of genetics. It is often a painful, chemically induced process. Men with graying hair must undergo harsh professional bleaching to get the job. We are talking about stinging chemicals applied directly near the mouth and nose every few weeks, just to hit a specific agency-approved shade of pure winter white. These dedicated guys are essentially destroying their own hair follicles in the name of extreme holiday authenticity. 15. Seeing two identical cartoon dogs walking down the street instantly shatters a child's reality. To prevent this multiversal collision, parks utilize massive underground tunnel networks and strict radio coordination. Two of the same characters can never be visible to the public at the exact same time. Backstage coordinators map out every single route. Honestly, what would you even say to a kid who just realized they were being lied to by a cloned cartoon character walking right past their twin? 16. Heartbreaking requests from children with deployed military parents require a very delicate touch. When a child climbs onto the velvet lap and begs for their mother or father to come home from a war zone for Christmas, the performer cannot say yes. Promising a safe return is a line they simply cannot cross. Instead, they are trained to offer comfort and gently praise the child's bravery. It is a devastatingly heavy emotional burden hidden behind a jolly laugh and a bright red suit. 17. Having a beautiful Christmas tree tattooed on your forearm does not matter. Nobody will ever see it. Every single tattoo must be completely covered at all times while on the clock. Even a slight peek of ink under a white cuff is a terminable offense. Some performers actually have to use heavy, theatrical-grade, waterproof concealer on their hands and wrists every single morning. The management teams apparently have a very old-school, ultra-conservative stance on any type of modern body modification. 18. Acting as a human forklift for heavy toddlers is not part of the job description. The parent must be the one to pick up the kid and place them down on the velvet chair. This rule exists entirely to protect against devastating lawsuits and horrific back injuries. Lifting hundreds of squirming, unpredictable toddlers every single day is a fast track to a blown spinal disc. Plus, it eliminates any false accusations of improper handling. The big guy is there to spread festive cheer, not to lift weights. 19. Maintaining a perfect, radiant smile for hours on end causes facial muscles to violently spasm. To survive the unnatural tension, face characters use a highly guarded trick. They subtly bite the insides of their own cheeks to reset their muscles without ever letting the smile drop externally. They are literally causing themselves mild physical pain just to ensure your vacation photos look absolutely flawless. It is an agonizing reality hidden behind gallons of lip gloss and heavy theatrical blush. 20. Modern prescription eyeglasses are a massive uniform violation for anyone playing a historical or fantasy character. Even if a performer is legally blind, they must wear contact lenses, regardless of how irritated their eyes get in the dusty park environment. The logic is simple. A 17th century pirate or a magical ice queen did not have access to modern optometry. If you cannot tolerate contacts, you simply do not get the job. Vision naturally takes a backseat to uncompromising historical accuracy. 21. Uttering a single word while wearing a furry suit is never an option, no matter what horrible incident happens. Rowdy teenagers might punch them, or a stroller might run over their oversized foam foot, but they cannot scream, curse, or yell for help. They must use exaggerated silent hand gestures to signal a handler. Imagine being in agonizing pain and having to mime your suffering like a tragic silent cartoon character just to avoid getting fired by the park supervisors. 22. Telling a child they are on the naughty list is completely off the table. Exhausted parents might stand right there, violently winking and begging the man in red to scare their misbehaving kid straight, but he must refuse. He must remain a figure of pure, unconditional, joyous positivity. Holiday management decided long ago that weaponizing festive magic to discipline a random stranger's chaotic toddler is a massive liability that simply is not worth the headache. 23. Violently yanking on facial hair is a favorite pastime for skeptical toddlers trying to expose a fake. When a kid grabs a fistful of real whiskers and pulls with all their might, the performer cannot flinch, wince, or pull away aggressively. They must gently laugh it off and compliment the child's impressive strength. Imagine suppressing the natural human urge to scream while a tiny stranger tries to rip your face off, all while maintaining a perfectly joyful, rosy-cheeked demeanor. 24. Looking for a Friday night hookup on a dating app is incredibly risky for a famous fairy tale princess. Performers are entirely banned from using any photos of themselves in character on apps like Tinder or Bumble. The image consultants actively employ surveillance teams that scour social media and dating sites looking for leaks. One wrong swipe while wearing a company tiara, and you are permanently and publicly banished from the magical kingdom without a second thought. 25. Nature calls for everyone, but a legendary holiday icon can never be seen at a public urinal. If someone needs a restroom break after 3 hours of drinking sugary hot cocoa, they must coordinate with security to be escorted through hidden back corridors to a private employee bathroom. The reasoning is hilariously practical. Seeing a mythical legend standing casually in a mall restroom completely shatters the majestic, innocent illusion of the holiday season. 26. Autograph books are fine, but signing a guest's actual skin is strictly prohibited. When a teenage tourist jokingly asks a famous mermaid to sign their forehead or forearm with a black marker, the character must immediately decline. Entertainment lawyers are terrified of massive lawsuits if a guest gets a severe allergic reaction to the ink, or worse, gets the signature permanently tattooed. Performers elegantly insist that royal decrees belong on paper. Would you risk a lawsuit just to sign an arm? 27. Believe it or not, elite training schools actually restrict how aggressively you can laugh. Deep, booming belly laughs can be absolutely terrifying to a nervous, crying toddler. Performers are taught a softer, higher-pitched, heavily modulated chuckle that sounds more like a gentle grandfather and less like an intimidating thunder god. If your laugh is too aggressively masculine, you will immediately fail the audition before you even put on the suit. 28. Your physical dimensions practically belong to the people running the park. Face characters are subjected to terrifying, unannounced weigh-ins and measurements. Should you gain even a few pounds and the custom-tailored, multi-thousand-dollar royal gown no longer zips up perfectly, you are immediately benched. You get placed on an unpaid leave of absence until you magically shrink back to your exact hiring dimensions. Do you think it is fair for an employer to dictate your waistline to the exact inch? 29. Bookings that include both a Mr. and Mrs. clause feature highly regulated dynamics to avoid any creepy vibes. They are explicitly told to act like warm, asexual grandparents rather than a married couple. Holding hands is fine, but lingering touches or calling each other pet names like babe or honey is a massive rule violation. The agency wants them to project the innocent illusion of magical bakers, not an elderly couple on a romantic weekend getaway. 30. Designated pet days bring unpredictable chaos to the set. When a massive dog starts aggressively barking or growling at the throne, the performer is not allowed to show genuine human fear. They must remain seated and calmly attempt to soothe the animal using an incredibly soft, high-pitched voice. Jumping up and running away in terror destroys the serene atmosphere for everyone else waiting in line. You are essentially paid to sit perfectly still while a highly stressed canine contemplates attacking your expensive boots. 31. Holding a guest's baby is completely off-limits for anyone in full costume. Should a parent try to shove their infant into a giant fuzzy dog's arms for a cute photo, the performer must immediately cross their arms or back away. Parents get incredibly offended by this firm rejection. But would you really trust a sweating stranger with zero peripheral vision to safely juggle your precious infant just for a social media post? 32. Hiding a tongue piercing might seem easy, but face characters face brutal close-up inspections. Discovering even a brief metallic flash inside a princess's mouth while she is talking means she is instantly pulled from the stage. You are required to remove all hidden jewelry, including completely clear retainers. Park supervisors argue that magical royalty from the 17th century absolutely did not have titanium tongue rings. The commitment to historical accuracy is utterly terrifying. 33. Squinting through a brutal afternoon glare is just part of the job. No matter how blinding the summer sun gets, face characters like royalty and fairies are permanently banned from wearing sunglasses. Authentic eye contact is absolutely essential for creating magical, believable interactions. A princess wearing trendy aviators completely shatters the carefully crafted medieval illusion. Performers must simply sacrifice their retinas to the sun gods and maintain a flawless royal smile. 34. Promising a white Christmas is never allowed, no matter how desperately a child begs for snow. Meteorologically speaking, the big guy must remain entirely non-committal. If he guarantees a snowy morning and the weather turns out sunny, the mall will inevitably receive furious complaints from parents dealing with heartbroken kids. Handlers provide specialized scripts to deflect weather requests, usually blaming global warming or claiming the elves are hoarding all the snow. 35. Acrylics, bright colors, and chipped polish are absolute terminable offenses for a princess. Performers are usually limited to clear coats or one specific, heavily monitored shade of neutral pink. Furthermore, nails must be kept at a very specific, mandated length. Showing up for a shift with slightly overgrown fingernails or a flashy French manicure means you will be sent home immediately. The sheer level of micromanagement over cuticles is genuinely mind-boggling. 36. Getting dragged into a political debate by a smirking adult initiates an immediate emergency shutdown. The actors are banned from expressing any political affiliations, endorsing candidates, or discussing current events. They are trained to creatively pivot the conversation back to reindeer, elves, or cookies. Breaking this rule results in an instant firing. The magical utopia at the North Pole is completely insulated from our exhausting modern election cycles and partisan screaming matches. 37. Grateful tourists often try to offer cash tips, but mascots must emphatically refuse them. If a generous father tries to slip a $20 bill into a giant chipmunk's glove, Accepting that bribe violates strict anti-solicitation policies. Should a guest relentlessly force the money on them, the performer must immediately surrender it to a supervisor, where it is supposedly donated to a designated charity. Magical memories simply cannot be bought with cold, hard cash. 38. Public affection is heavily micromanaged for anyone hired to play a famous royal couple. A legendary prince and princess are never allowed to actually kiss on the lips in front of the guests, even if their blockbuster movie famously ends with true love's kiss. Their physical contact is limited to politely holding hands or a gentle, chaste kiss on the cheek. Park executives refuse to let the area turn into a passionate, romantic soap opera. The magic must remain completely wholesome. 39. Ripping off a headpiece to yell for a doctor is forbidden, even if the performer sustains a serious injury on stage. The illusion must be protected at all costs. Handlers are trained to subtly rush injured characters backstage before any medical assistance is openly rendered. There are legendary, horrifying stories of performers suffering broken bones or intense heat stroke, yet continuing to wave happily to the crowd while secretly crying in pure agony. Would you endure a fractured arm just to protect a cartoon character's dignity? 40. Securing a premium holiday gig requires passing federal-level background checks that rival high-security clearances. Elite agencies fingerprint their performers, thoroughly scrub their financial histories, and investigate their entire digital footprints. A single questionable social media post from a decade ago or a minor unpaid parking ticket can permanently ruin a career. The vetting process is incredibly ruthless, ensuring that the man in the red suit is completely flawless on paper before he ever meets a child. 41. Walking a daily psychological tightrope is mandatory for theme park villains. They are permitted to be arrogant, sarcastic, and slightly mean to the paying guests. However, the second a child actually starts crying, the villain must instantly break their wicked persona and dramatically soften their demeanor to comfort them. You are hired to be an intimidating agent of evil, but strictly on a heavily monitored, completely non-traumatizing level. 42. Mastering the art of the hover hand is essential for the modern photo op. Specific guidelines state that a performer's hands must remain strictly visible in every single photograph. They are trained to keep their mitts resting on top of the child's shoulders or placed squarely on their own knees. It is a stark reminder of the highly litigious reality we live in. The magic of the holidays now legally requires both hands to be in plain sight at all times, completely ruining the relaxed grandpa vibe. 43. Adults jumping onto a velvet lap for a funny photo triggers a secret security protocol. The performers are taught subtle hand signals to alert mall security if a fully grown 200-pound man tries to violently drop onto their knees. A blown-out ACL is a career-ending injury in this specific industry. They will politely direct the adult to stand next to the chair instead. The festive throne is absolutely not a piece of indestructible playground equipment. 44. Acknowledging the existence of rival entertainment franchises is treated like treason. When a kid wearing a wizard cape asks a famous galactic space knight about a magical boarding school, the performer must look utterly confused and pretend it does not exist. They sign documents binding them completely to their specific cinematic universe. Could you imagine pretending you have absolutely no idea what a lightsaber or a hobbit is, just to keep your paycheck secure? 45. Sprinting or running in a blind panic is technically not allowed during a blaring fire alarm or a severe weather warning. Performers must briskly walk to the nearest hidden emergency exit while miraculously maintaining their character's specific posture and grace. A princess must glide away from extreme danger, and a space ranger must look tactically alert, not terrified. The visual of a beloved fairy screaming and sprinting past crying tourists would induce mass hysteria. 46. Guessing a child's age incorrectly destroys the precious belief in holiday magic. Because the mythical hero watches everyone all year, he should definitely already know your exact age. If a child says they are 7 and the performer foolishly guesses 5, the mystical illusion instantly evaporates into thin air. They must rely entirely on vague, incredibly safe, age-neutral compliments to navigate this high-stakes conversation safely. 47. Saying yes to a specific gift request requires ninja-level evasion tactics. When a kid asks for a live pony or a $600 video game console, the performer cannot make a hard promise. Phrases like, "I'll see what the elves can do," or "That's a very big wish," are deployed instead. If they guarantee an item, angry parents will storm the winter wonderland demanding compensation. It turns out that managing expectations is the actual true meaning of the season. 48. Wearing hidden nicotine patches underneath their costumes is the only way heavy smokers can survive exhausting shifts. Contracts explicitly state that the velvet suit cannot carry even the faintest, lingering odor of tobacco. A child burying their face in the plush fabric should smell peppermint or artificial snow, not a grimy downtown dive bar. If a handler catches even a slight whiff of cigarette smoke, the performer is immediately stripped of the suit and sent home in disgrace. 49. Opening a tightly sealed, handwritten letter on the spot is legally forbidden. When a hopeful child hands over an envelope, the performer must dramatically place it into a special magical pouch for later. This strict rule exists because children sometimes write deeply tragic requests or reveal highly sensitive family secrets. Reading a devastating letter live on camera while trying to maintain a jolly, booming laugh is practically impossible. They have to protect their own emotional stability during a grueling shift. Okay, we have covered 49 rules, and there is only one final point left. But before we get to number 50, it is time for the final verdict. The award for the most unbelievable rule today goes to the strict ban on using public restrooms. The idea that a grown man must be secretly escorted through hidden corridors just so a toddler doesn't catch Kris Kringle at a urinal is a hilarious mix of paranoia and holiday magic. Do you agree with this verdict, or did another rule earn that questionable honor? Let us know in the comments. And now, our final number. 50. Dropping a piece of a costume in public requires an immediate cover-up. Should a cartoon dog's tail randomly fall off, they cannot just pick it up and nonchalantly reattach it. Handlers are meticulously trained to instantly surround the detached item, completely block it from the view of children, and swiftly carry the supposedly injured character backstage. Reattaching a body part in broad daylight completely shatters the pristine illusion that these are actual biological living creatures. To the agency, a dropped foam shoe is treated exactly like a gruesome medical emergency. The control over mall Santas and theme park characters is honestly hilarious. Knowing that a guy in a red suit can be fired for smelling like garlic, do these insane workplace rules make you respect the performers more, or just pity them? Start a debate in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, smash that subscribe button and leave a like before you go.